Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's me, Grace. If this is your first time, then hey, welcome. Today's video is for all my Chinese learners. I learn Cantonese and Mandarin, two Chinese languages. Cantonese has 6 tones and Mandarin has 4 tones. People who learn Mandarin complain about the 4 tones, and it's like, okay, look at Cantonese, 6. So tones are one of the hardest things about Chinese, because if you get the tones wrong, you can get the meaning wrong. And I'm sure every Chinese learner has like one story of when they said a word with a different tone, and then so they got some laughs, or they got someone looking at them strangely, and they were like, what did I do wrong? And you realize that you literally said something completely different to what you wanted to say. Yeah, I think we've all had traumatic experiences like that. But I think I'm not fluent in Chinese. I just want to say I'm not a native speaker, but I think whenever I talk to Chinese people, or my Chinese language exchange partners, they always tell me that my tones are pretty accurate and that my tones are quite good. And yeah, I think I really did put a lot of emphasis on the tones, and in the early stages of learning Cantonese and Mandarin, because I think, yeah, they're just very important. I just want to share with you guys I how I feel, how to master the tones, because once you get rid of the tones as a problem, Chinese becomes a lot easier. Learning new words and everything becomes a lot easier because you don't have to constantly worry about tones. So yeah. So I think learning the tones, it's pretty simple. You just have to really practice them a lot. That's like the key thing, Practice honestly makes perfect. So when you first start learning Chinese, they're going to be really hard, but the more you continue to practice them and make sure that you get them right, then you'll quickly reach a point where you don't have to continuously practice them anymore. But don't get lazy. Don't think, oh, I'll learn the tones later, or don't slack up from the very beginning. Be very conscious of the tones and really just practice them. And as annoying as it can be, keep practicing, because then if you leave it in the future, they're going to become an even bigger problem for you. So I'd say when you learn a word, when you learn the tones, repeat, literally repeat, until you sound exactly like that person. Always learn words with audio, ask someone how do you say it, or learn them from TV, or find, I don't know, use a dictionary that has audio. Pleco is a really good dictionary, it has audio, but always learn a word with the audio. And when you learn a word, repeat until you sound exactly like the audio. I think remembering what tones, like what is first tone, what does second tone sound like, what does third tone sound like, that's really important. But I think something that also really helps is when you learn words, don't get too caught up with the tones. Don't get, oh my gosh, this word is second tone, then third tone, then fourth tone. Okay, cool. Second, third, fourth. Don't get too bogged down with the tones. Try and learn words based on how they sound, not on what the tones are, but how the actual word sounds, Learn a word after repeating over and over and over again, so that when you're saying the word, you're not thinking this is second tone and third tone. You're thinking, this word sounds like this. I know what this word sounds like. Instead of thinking, okay, this is second, first, fourth, because you're just going to get really confused. So something that I think helps is having reference words. So words that, like I mentioned, just as I mentioned, simply how they sound, and then what tone that is. So that is your way of essentially having an example of that tone. What I mean by that is, for example, the word nei, which means you in Cantonese. Nei is 5th tone, right? So if I'm learning a word, for example, qi, which means to be similar to. So if I'm learning that word, and I know that qi is 5th tone, but let's say I don't actually remember what 5th tone sounds like, but I know what the word nei sounds like, and I know that nei is 5th tone. So that means that I can literally go, okay, nei, and then I can be like, okay, so it's qi. Do you know what I mean? So by not having that word nei, I can then go, okay, qi, and I can use that to learn other words. So that's another thing. learn words with the sound, and then you can use those words to help you when you're learning some other words, you know? Learning the tones and learning individual words is one thing, and then you're saying sentences and you have multiple tones right next to each other. You know, it's kind of hard, but just continuing to practice and repeating after native speakers. I can't emphasize that enough. Repeating after native speakers, practicing to yourself and talking to native speakers so that they can be like, the tone, that wasn't, you know, they can correct you. Like, I think it took me months to be able to master the Cantonese tones, because they're six, literally like six, like they're a lot, you know, and I couldn't hear the difference between second and fifth tone and third and sixth tone for the longest time. Literally, I couldn't, like sixth tone, you can't really describe it. There's not really a way to describe it the way that you can describe second tone. So it was really hard for me to learn. But the way that I learned it is literally by just practicing it, literally repeating it. And it goes to a point where I don't even need you to describe to me how to say it, because I just know how to say it, because I've said it so many times. So now it's like in my muscle memory and I know how to say it. So whenever I come across a word that's really difficult to pronounce, you know, not just Chinese, but any language that has really difficult pronunciation, you know, it can kind of feel like, oh my gosh, I'm never gonna get this right, you know, I'm never gonna be able to say it. But I always like to think to myself, like, these people who are pronouncing it this way are human. They have the same anatomy as me. They have the same, like what's inside their throats and mouth is the same as what's inside mine. So if their mouth is making that sound, that means that I can too. Do you know what I mean? Like, as a human, because they're human too, they're not some weird aliens. They're literally human, just like me. If they're producing that sound, that means it is physically possible for me to produce that sound also. The reason why they can do it and I can't is because they've grown up, you know, they've been taught, they've learned how to say it that way. It's the same way that I'm going to learn, by repeating and by listening and by repeating. That's the same way that they learned, and it's the same way that you will learn, and you will learn, and you will get it, because it's not impossible. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, that's my tips, guys. If you liked the video, please, like, if you liked it, please like it. Like, it makes me so happy when I see that people are liking the video. It shows me that you guys like it. And comment down below, like, are you struggling with the tones right now? Yeah, just let me know. Just talk to me, and subscribe to my channel as well. Share it with your friends who are learning Chinese, who are learning tonal languages. Yeah, just let me know and subscribe to my channel, because I'll make more videos, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.